If you've been following along with all of my Alesis Strata Prime videos, you would know that for a second time, we have reset my module, which has resulted in this. Resetting the module obviously resetted all of the adjustments I've made to the settings over the last 18 months of me owning this kit. Because we've come up on 18 months of owning the Strata Prime, I will be doing an 18-month review very shortly. But what are we doing in this video? Obviously, we need to rectify all of these issues that we've got with the kit. At the moment, stuff is activating when it's not supposed to. I'm not hitting anything. I'm clapping in the near vicinity of all these triggers. And stuff is activating when it shouldn't. To fix that, Alesis have recommended to use the crosstalk feature, but unfortunately, the module is not as smart as they say that it is. So the crosstalk feature actually ruins your kit. So we're not going to do that. We need to do things the hard way. This is going to be a long form video which shows you exactly how to fix your kit. We're going to look at a 3-step plan in order to fix all these triggering issues, which includes analyzing information within the module, and then adjusting threshold, then sensitivity settings. All of this I will explain in depth in this video. If you don't care about the who, the what, the why, the when, the where, the how, and you just want to see the results, check out the short form video of this video, which I'll be releasing very soon. Before we delve into the 3-point plan and I start teaching you what you need to analyze in the module and all that kind of stuff, I first want to bring your attention to the trigger zones on your kit. Except for your kick drum, which only has one trigger zone, the big fat meat in the middle of the head, every single drum and cymbal has got 3 different trigger zones. On your drums, so the snare and all of your tom-toms, you have got the head of the drum, the rim, and then the rim shot if you combine the two. Your cymbals, on the other hand, have got a bow, which is just the middle of the cymbal, your edge, and then the bell. Again, that is the same for all cymbals and all drums, except for the kick drum, which has only the one trigger zone. Now, each of these trigger zones are represented by these sort of, we'll call them subsections of blue lines within the trigger settings of the module. Each of those blue lines represents a different trigger zone on any of your different drums. Now, the order of the drums are obviously kick drum, snare drum, tom 1, 2, 3, 4. Then your auxiliary drum, which could be a 5th tom, could be a side snare, depending on what you've chosen or where you've chosen to put it. Then you've got your hi-hat, ride, and each of your crashes. As I said before, the kick drum only has one trigger zone, so you're only going to see the one blue line. On the other hand, the drums and cymbals, as I also said, each have got 3 different trigger zones, which means there are 3 different subsections attached to each of the individual drums to show the 3 different trigger zones. The order of the 3 trigger zones are as follows. With your drums, you've got the head of the drum in your first subsection, so on the left. The rim is in the middle, and the rim shot is the third on the right. Cymbals are the bow, then the edge, and the bell. You can see the difference in the position of those 3 lines. Now that we understand what all of that means and where the trigger zones correlate into the interface on the actual module, we can now learn what we're actually looking for, what we want to analyze. Now, simply put, there are 3 things. 3-point plan, 3 things to analyze, pretty simple. The first, we need to analyze what we're hitting. The second is how hard we are hitting said thing. And then the third and most important, what is being activated. To put it simply, I'm hitting tom-tom 4 with a heavy, high velocity hit, and I am activating the head of tom 4 as I would like to, but also crash 2 and the auxiliary drum, which is our 5th tom-tom or side snare, depending on where you've put it. So what we're hitting is the tom. How hard are we hitting? Relatively hard. And then what is being activated? Well, that, good, but that and that as well. Not good. With this information, I can tell that the tom-tom is fine. It is working as it should, but we need to adjust the threshold and or sensitivity settings on these two drums. Now, what is actually causing these drums to trigger when they're not supposed to? Very simply, it is just the vibration of the drum into the rack, which is then picked up by a very sensitive trigger in the cymbals and drums. Now, what this means is the threshold and or sensitivity settings on the triggers are a little bit too responsive and need to be dropped back a little bit. We want to make sure that a light touch, just like that, a low velocity hit, we need to make sure that activates the trigger, but anything under that, like a vibration just from the rack of the drum kit, we need to make sure that those little vibrations do not activate the trigger. So this is good. Anything under that, we need to make it ignore, essentially. That is what we're doing today. While we're here talking about tom-tom 4, we may as well just start with tom-tom 4. As I hit this drum, like I mentioned, tom-tom 5 or my auxiliary drum and my crash 2 are both activating. Now, what trigger specifically? On the auxiliary drum, it is the middle subsection, which means the rim, which could genuinely just be the fact that they're a little bit too close together. That's improved my situation. It's still slightly there. Let's have a look at the crash. The first subsection on the crash is activating, which means the sensitivity of the bow is a little bit too much. So all we need to do is have a look at our interface, select crash 1, 2, and then go to the bow sensitivity, drop it down a little bit, and maybe even boost the threshold sensitivity as well. So I've dropped my bow sensitivity down to 1.5% and boosted up the threshold to 4. And now as I hit, crash 2 is no longer activating. Let's focus and just dial in the settings on this one crash by playing tom 3 and analysing the activity of the triggers from that. That's pretty good. Crash is still slightly activating, so again I might boost up the threshold ever so slightly. As you can see there, I played through each of the tom-toms. None of them activated the crash. To make sure that this is completed and finished and perfectly set, let's mess around with the cymbals as well. As you can see there, I've hit every single drum except for crash 2, and it's not perfect, it's like a 95% success rate, but that crash is no longer activating when it shouldn't. This is done and good to go. So we'll click save. Final touches, making sure that a low velocity hit registers and registers as a low velocity hit. We're good with that cymbal. Let's have a look at, let's just run through all the toms and see what they activate. So tom 1 activates tom 1. That's it. Tom 2 activates tom 2. Tom 3 used to activate the crash, no longer does. Tom 4. Tom 4 still activates the second subsection, the rim subsection of tom-tom 5. If I hit tom-tom 5 or my auxiliary drum, tom 4 is activating. And also crash 4, specifically the bow and then also the rim of tom-tom 4. So all we need to do is slightly boost up the rim, threshold and sensitivity of this tom-tom and also the auxiliary drum, and then we'll do the same thing that we did with this crash but with this crash, which is actually my china. But regardless, let's have a look at this tom-tom. Tom-tom 4, the rim is activating when we hit tom-tom 5, so we need to slightly boost that up. And I've even dropped the rim sensitivity down to 2.0%. And now, the auxiliary drum is no longer activating Tom 4, but for some reason, it just activated Tom 2. Very slightly, so I might go with Tom 2. And also boost up the rim threshold and drop the sensitivity slightly. I've also done the exact same thing for the auxiliary drum. What I was doing there is I was watching for the peak of the blue line and matching the threshold to go up to the top of that peak of the blue line. That essentially means that this hit is causing that much of the trigger to sensor, so let's make sure that it doesn't register. That wasn't explained well, but I think you get what I mean. Tom 2 is still activating. Rim threshold up to 8. Next, we'll do the crash 4 specifically, my China. Cool. All the drums and cymbals are no longer activating Crash 4 when I don't want it to. So we'll click Save for that. So, at the moment, happy with that, very happy with that. Tom-toms should be okay. Let's run through them again. Toms should be good. Let's have a look at the snare drum just while we're here. Okay, I am seeing the rim activate when I don't want it to. Let me see if I can hear it. Definitely. There's no way that my rim threshold should go up that high, and there's definitely no way that I should boost it that high and it still be average. So it could be something else on the snare. For example, a loose wing nut thing. Taking it out didn't help, so let's try and lock it in place, because that is loose. That's literally the answer to the problem. So I've tightened that up all the way, and now it isn't vibrating and causing the rim to activate. So my snare drum is good. Let's have a look at the other cymbals. So if I hit any of the other drums, Is my hi-hat going to vibrate? Probably not, because it's on its own stand. But we'll find out. I'm going to slightly boost up the threshold of the ride, and also maybe even a little bit of a drop in the bow sensitivity. But just like with the other cymbals, I'd rather have more sensitivity than not. It's an electric kit, so it's not going to be perfect, but that's quite alright. To recap everything that we have done in this video, we'll just quickly run through those 3 steps one final time. Very simply, all you do is hit the kit, play around with it, and watch the module. If you see the blue lines, which are attached to any of the trigger zones, if they fire without hitting the drums, then of course you've got a drum mistriggering, and you need to adjust the threshold to make sure that it requires just a little bit more force to activate the drum, and then make sure that your sensitivity, make sure that that is set appropriately to make sure that everything feels as it should as well. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. To check out the final results, have a look at the next video, the short form version of everything we've done in this video, which is essentially just the results without any of the discussion on how to fix your kit.